Hi everyone, welcome to Yoga with Kassandra. Today's Yin Yoga class is designed specifically to help you get better posture. So you will need either a few blocks or a few pillows to get started, and we'll begin in a simple child's pose. So keep your knees close together, big toes are touching, and start to fold forward, releasing your forehead down onto the ground and reaching your arms either side of your body. Let your shoulders soften onto your knees and take deep belly breaths in and out through the nose. This is a wonderful pose to help relieve any discomfort you might be feeling in your lower back. You're allowing the spine to curve just a little bit in a very supportive way. If your forehead doesn't quite make it down onto the mat, you can always place a block or a pillow underneath it. And the tendency here is to allow the shoulders to lift up towards the ears, so see if you can keep them pressing down. So in Yin Yoga, we hold these types of poses for a few minutes. Just remember that you can come out of them at any time that you need to. Start to lift your upper body back up and then slide all the way down onto your belly, coming into Sphinx pose. So a completely different action in the spine. You'll need to place your forearms flat down onto the mat, maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width distance apart. And then feel the shoulders press back so that you're lightly squeezing your shoulder blades behind you and focusing on opening up through the chest and collarbones. Keep your pelvis firmly planted down onto the mat, and your tailbone should be reaching and pointing towards your heels so that you maintain integrity in the lower back. You'll need to rearrange yourself in a way where the back bend is comfortable. So if the angle is too much, just walk your palms a couple inches forward. Alternatively, you can walk your elbows back closer towards your ribs to get a little bit deeper into the pose. So just remember that we're not trying to strain ourselves here. This is for better posture, and it's to help you get a little bit more open through the thoracic spine and through the upper body. So just make sure you're not rounding forward or collapsing, and find your deep breaths even here. Let's lift ourselves out of the pose, coming onto all fours, and we're going to find a low lunge stance. So please step your right foot forward in between your palms, and I'm going to keep my palms down onto the mat. If the floor is too far away, go ahead and use a block or a couple pillows, and allow the hips to really sink down low here, maintaining one long line from the crown of your head all the way down into the tailbone. So these low lunges help open up through our hip flexors, which is really important for those of you who might have lordosis or a really big sway in your lower back. By stretching and opening up the hip flexors, it's a little bit easier for your pelvis to stay neutral and then to help correct that excessive curve in the lower back. So let's just stay here. Try not to let tension build up in the neck or shoulders. Keep your shoulders and upper body relaxed and breathe deeply. And let's switch sides, come back through to your tabletop pose, and then step your left foot forward in between your palms. Find your low lunge on the second side. Make sure you're aligning your ankle underneath the knee and not going past that. Let's come out of this low lunge. Our next pose is supported fish, which is one of the best poses that you can do to open up the thoracic spine and get a nice expansion through the chest. I'm going to use 3 pillows to get into the pose. Alternatively, you can use some blocks or a bolster. Whichever prop that you're choosing to use, you're going to place it directly underneath your shoulders and upper back, and also make sure that your head is supported. So you're lying down either on your pillows or on your blocks so that your hips and tailbone stay down onto the mat and your upper body is really lifted. And you can go as high or as low as is appropriate for your body here. It should not feel uncomfortable and there should be no pinching in your lower back. With the legs, you can do whatever comes naturally to you and whatever helps you relax even more. So the soles of the feet can come to touch, knees apart, or you can straighten your legs or keep your knees bent, feet flat on the mat. And same thing with the arms. To really help open up through the upper body, I prefer to reach my arms up overhead, and that gets really deep into the armpits and shoulders. If that's too much for you, just keep your arms to either side of your body. Just enjoy this pose. This should be one that you can relax and soften into. Coming out of this pose, tuck your chin in towards your chest so that you can lift your upper body up. Moving your props out of the way, we're going to place those exact same props underneath our hips. So this time our upper body will be grounded and our hips will be elevated, which is a little bit more beneficial for the lower back, coming into supported bridge. Start by keeping your feet hip width distance apart. Press into your feet to lift tailbone and hips off of the mat, and then slide whichever props you're using directly underneath your tailbone. So be mindful not to place it on your lower back. That will not be comfortable. Slide it a little bit lower and adjust the height of your props. It doesn't need to be too high to get a lot of benefit here. From there, you can choose to straighten your legs, keep your knees bent, arms go wherever you would like to have them. Stay up on your props and just start to straighten your legs and reach your toes up towards the sky, so a variation of legs up the wall. This is one of my favorite poses to help relieve tension in the lower back, and it's really nice to reverse the blood flow, allowing the legs to be a little bit more weightless and the upper body to be grounded. You bend your knees as much as you need to here, and some people will prefer opening up their legs into a straddle. Just get comfortable and let yourself fully relax in this pose. Bend your knees, release your feet back down onto the mat. Press your feet into the ground to lift your hips and move whichever props you had out of the way. Our last pose will be a Lange spinal twist, which is one of the most beneficial poses that you can do to relieve lower back tension. So reach your arms out to the side, shift your hips a few inches towards the left before dropping both knees over to the right. If you'd like to take this a little bit deeper, you can wrap your left leg over your right. See if you can keep your left shoulder firmly planted down into the mat so that your chest is facing up towards the sky and your hips are turning over towards the side. Take deep breaths into the belly and directly into the lower back, and hold here for about 1.5 minutes or so. As you inhale, bring your knees back up to center and uncross your legs if you had that variation. And let's go over to the second side. Shift your hips a couple inches towards the right before dropping both knees over to the left. Option here to wrap your right leg over the top of your left to intensify the stretch that you feel in your lower back and through the side of the waist. Focus on keeping your right shoulder firmly anchored down into the mat and relax. Let's lift our knees back up through to center and make our way into Shavasana, our final resting pose. Get really comfortable here as you straighten out your legs and reach your arms out to the side. And since we are doing this class for better posture, I find that the most comfortable and restorative way to do Shavasana is to place a pillow or a few blocks underneath the knees. Especially if you know you do have lower back sensitivities, this is a wonderful way to make the pose a lot more comfortable. Maybe allow the eyes to close, coming back to whatever breath is natural to you. Let yourself fully relax. Back body completely supported by the earth. And I'll encourage you to stay in this pose for a few minutes, really giving yourself the opportunity to integrate everything you've done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this class was beneficial to you. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video. Thanks again. Namaste.